This is the Horse Radio Network. Hi, everybody. This is Glenn the Geek, and you're listening to Dressage Radio Show, episode 454. Well, Philip is with us on the Horse Lovers Cruise this week. We are in the Bahamas right now, somewhere, sailing about, and we're so excited that Philip was able to join us with 40 of your fellow listeners. So this week we have for you a best of episode here on the Dressage Radio Show. And, we've done so many shows, it's pretty easy to find best ofs to add into the mix. And today we go back to September 18th of 2014. Dressage trainer Marsha Hartford-Sapp takes on a new challenge in America's Horsewoman's Challenge, and Hillary from Dressage Today has a bunch of tips. Plus, the total saddle fit trainer tip was from recent Philip and is on sitting a rough trot. So we hope you enjoy this best of episode. They'll be back again next week with a brand new episode. In the meantime, we'll be thinking about you guys as we're drinking strawberry daiquiris by the pool. Have a great week, everybody.
This is episode 277 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Fergus, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Hey, Philip, how are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. Pretty tired, though, today. How about you?
Same. It's pretty busy around here right now. I'm sure it's like that in every barn. Everyone's sort of getting ready for the regional finals. Ours are in 3 weeks. And I've got a big group of riders that are going to the American Eventing Championships next week. So we are going to wish them all well. They're just kind of getting their last final lessons going, and that's super fun and exciting. And so it's sort of getting to be championship season. So it's busy around here for sure.
Well, that's fun. That's fun. It just seems like everybody in the last couple of weeks has called me or contacted me. Hey, I'd like some lessons. When can you come out? And I'm just trying to pack everything into short days and spend as much time with everybody that has called me as possible. So
exactly, because it's about ready to freeze.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. You're right. So hopefully it doesn't too soon, but the weather has definitely changed already here. I think we're going to be seeing leaves falling off trees and stuff. It's probably in early winter, seems like.
I know. It's getting cooler just in the last week here too. And it's like, I can kind of feel fall and I'm just not ready for sure.
Never ready.
But yeah. No, we've had to clip a couple horses. The horses that are going to Texas, they've already been clipped, and we're grabbing sheets out already for the horses that are showing in the next couple weeks. So, oh boy, yeah, not ready for sure. So, I know.
Well, I think we've got a good show this week.
As always, we really do. We do. We have a great show. Looking forward to it. Who do we have on the show tonight?
Well, we've got Hillary Moore-Hebert, contributing editor of Dressage Today, that's going to come on and give us the tips from the magazine for the month. And we're going to be talking about dressage at Devon because Hillary is going. She qualified her $1 horse, that we talked about on a previous episode. She's riding a $1 horse to I think Prix St. George.
Yes,
at Dressage at Devon. I mean, this is a big accomplishment for her. That's big really deal. Fun. Well, Reese, we've also got Marsha Hartford-Sapp from Florida, and she's a dressage trainer. She also breaks young horses.
Right after this commercial break, we're going to jump right into Hillary Moore-Hebert, contributing editor of Dressage Today.
Choosing a supplement can be confusing. How do you know which ones are right for your horse? Kentucky Performance Products will simplify your search for effective, research-proven supplements that meet the challenges of today's horses. And this week's highlight product is Contribute Omega-3 Fatty Acid Supplement. The properties of omega-3 fatty acids benefit every system in your horse's body. Contribute improves breeding efficiency in mares and stallions. maintains soundness and protects joints from damaging inflammation, sustains a strong immune response in horses of all ages, and decreases the levels of inflammation in your horse's body by sustaining adequate omega-3 fatty acid levels. Learn more about Contribute Omega-3 Fatty Acid Supplement and all the other products at kppusa.com. That's Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
Well, as always, this is our favorite segment of the month. Hillary Moore Hebert is on from Dressage Today. She is the contributing editor, and she's going to tell us what's happening at Dressage Today this month. How are you, Hillary?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We are awesome. So I love, like I said, we love this segment. So we're ready to jump right in. What's our first topic for the month?
Okay, so I know that we're still in September, but I'm going to jump ahead to our October issue because we have an awesome cover story with Boyd and Silva Martin about the power of partnerships. And I'm really excited about this article because I just was at Morven Park and Seneca Pony Club this weekend, going back and forth between the two shows. And I was lucky enough to see not only Boyd kick some butt at the event there, but Silva Martin is back with Rosa Cha. I think she got in the 70s in her FEI class. And so it was neat to kind of have that magazine in hand while I saw the two of them competing. And I know that Silva's going to be heading to Devon to compete there, as am I. And I thought it would be really neat to start off by talking about the article that they have on building partnerships together. So it's a really neat article that Amber Heinsberger wrote, and it just talks about, all of the ways that the two of them support each other. And I thought it was really neat to look at a lot of the different things where they talk about the importance of having a strong horse and rider bond, strong owner and rider bond, and then a really strong support crew. And so I just thought that was kind of a neat thing and wanted to talk about that with you guys, just in terms of, the importance of having a team that can support you. So whether it's as an amateur, if you have a family that supports you, and then maybe because you work late, you splurge a little bit and have someone get your horse ready for you a couple times a week, or as a trainer, who do you have when you're going out of town to take care of the barn? And I just thought I would ask you guys, what you sort of think is the most important thing in terms of building up a supportive partnership to get you through, especially the competition season as we're going into championships and everything.
Well, I mean, it takes a village. I think that that's the thing about the sport in general. You have to have good communication with your vet, your farrier. They need to communicate, your massage therapist. I am super lucky that I have an amazing assistant trainer, Ashley Rand, who takes care of things when I'm gone, which is awesome because there are times I have to travel and go to clinics, and so she keeps everything running here at the farm. And, I have a wonderfully supportive husband who's not a horseman, but has learned how to be a horseman, or he can night check. He's a great night checker, which is great because then I don't have to bring somebody in to night check. He can do it. And if he has any questions, he can always call somebody if he needs it. One of my best friends is a vet as well. So she's awesome, is always on call. If I can't get a hold of my other vet, if I have a quick something, she's great. So I am so lucky. And I didn't mention my family. My mom and my dad are still huge supporters of me. And my sister is also an FEI rider and trainer. So if I ever have issues, I call my sister and I'm saying, hey, come out and look at this. Something doesn't feel right. What am I doing? What am I messing up? And she's quick to be there. So, and also Philip and I are really good friends and I call him with issues. So I think that just in general in the sport, it is so important to know that it's going to take a village and to be thankful for your village and enjoy everything with your village, because it isn't, it's horse and rider in the ring, but it takes so many people to get you there. So along with your trainers as well. So I think we always try to celebrate if somebody has something fun happen, because we know in horses it's so hard and there's so many nights and it's not going well. So when it goes well, we like to celebrate. But how about you, Philip?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are right. It just takes a huge help from some people, and just a little bit of help from lots of people, can get you where you need to be. And my situation is a little different. I just straight up board my horses at a farm, and I do a lot of freelancing. So the horse care aspect is not something I'm, day to day involved with, or having, like when I'm away, somebody having to do the stalls. I found it really easy just to pay a monthly board and just, have that kind of taken care of, sort of thing. So that alleviates a lot of stress, because I know what it's like, and having owned a farm and having been a manager at a farm and run farms and all this, that when you need to go away, that it's really, really tough to do that, and to have, somebody good enough that you can leave everything in their charge. So that's alleviated a lot of stress, in my life, and I found it, something just to be able to hand that over, and not to pay a staff member, but just to pay a boarding facility who has staff and all that, and I found that really simplifying, anyways. So that's good on my end, and then of course, everyone that you talked about, vets, farriers. My wife, of course, she's actually really good at organizing. I really notice when she doesn't help me organize before a show, I always leave. I always leave stuff behind, and then I've gotten to a show grounds without boots before, and I think I've pretty much forgotten everything I've needed to have.
The horses aren't there.
Yeah, well, I get the horses there and everything, but then it's everything else, isn't it? So I think. I haven't forgotten my jacket before. But
Ooh,
yes,
don't say it.
I will one day. But I had to borrow actually David Marcus's boots. He lent me one time.
Oh.
I'm terrible for this stuff. I know I should make better lists and really get it organized. But
no, you need to put an extra set of everything in the trailer. That's what I try. I'm like, I have another girth. I have another pair of breeches. I have another, a small coat, but I can get in that bad boy, because I'm so afraid of forgetting something.
So, I need a lot of help in the remembering department. So, I thank everybody who's lent me something over the years, or who, where I've had to run back and get something, a lot of people have helped me out. So, partnerships all the way through. You can't, even though it's just you and the horse in there, it's definitely, that's not the all-encompassing, thing that to help you succeed. You need everybody. So it's that's what it takes.
And Boyd and Silva are so cute. I'm sorry. Silva is Silva's like a model, and Boyd is also. And so they're adorable together. And they're the nicest couple and the nicest people. So I love seeing that they're having success. And Silva's back stronger than ever. That's awesome.
Wasn't Silva running around trying to find Boyd's breeches earlier this year?
That happened to, she called me.
Rolex?
Yep. I got a call from Silva. She clearly is organizing Boyd. Yeah, Boyd had lost his pants and she was trying to find them. It was a funny story.
I'm not sure I want to know the whole story.
No, I don't either.
I
don't know, but that did happen. I got a frantic call from Silva. Where could she find pants? So I didn't ask questions. I just helped. Gave some answers there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And moving on.
So I have a packing tip, actually, that maybe not only you, Philip, could use, but apparently Boyd might be able to use as well, since he doesn't have any pants, is I have a bag that I keep all of my show clothes in. So I don't keep them in a closet. I have like a bag where all my white breeches, all my show shirts, apparently I sound like a hoarder right now because I have a lot of them, but I have all of them in there. I keep all of my hairnet thingies, all that stuff are in there. When I get home from the show, I bring it to the laundry room. I take the stuff out that's dirty that I've put into a trash bag to keep separated. I wash it and dry it, and then I put it right back into that bag. And I do the same thing. The whole tote comes into the barn. Anything that needs to get washed gets washed. It gets put back in the tote, and then the tote goes in my tack room in the trailer. So everything travels as its own kit, and I only have 4 different things like that where everything goes with it. So It's taken me my entire life to get into this habit, but I was definitely disorganized before. And if anyone, needs a trick for doing things, the more that like things can kind of travel together and you can just keep them all with you, I find the better.
I love that too. I do something very similar. I have a show bag. It comes in, everything gets washed, and it's back in the trailer. And then I have one bin of show clothes that does live in the closet that I'll take out or whatever. But I'm also trying to keep everything very organized. Philip, we may have to get you a big tote bag.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, it's so bad. Like, it's like I'll have all the stuff together, and then I'll be going out the door. Maybe it's 6 a.m. It's an early morning problem. And then I'll put down, say it's my jacket or whatever. I'll put down my jacket to put on my shoes and not pick up the jacket again, even though it's sitting right. Like
Philip,
I'm on my
load
way
the
out
car. Load the car at night.
Yeah, that's why I had to start doing it.
I do that. I mean, everything's loaded the night before, and because you're not going to grab. Only thing I need to grab is my keys and a cup of coffee, and then I'm good to go.
Yeah, so
that's
the key. I think.
And
that's the key.
Philip, Hillary, we need to get Philip some tote bags. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because I think the problem is it's living too much in your house. Because what I've even done, and this shows how much I travel, I have a bag of clean clothes that are like street clothes that I have, and a whole set of toiletries and a hairdryer, and that all lives in a suitcase that's always packed. And all those things are always with me in the trailer. So during the show season, I leave that stuff just in the trailer. I mean, I travel so often, it's not just sitting in there for months at a time. But I just leave it there, or I leave it, so that the whole thing is like a little traveling unit.
Well,
but I like the idea too, Reese, of having spares in your trailer. So maybe you don't want to keep your nice shad belly in there, rotting away all summertime. But it's good if you have like kind of your foul weather show coat that's a zillion years old that you would barely be caught dead in. It's kind of nice, I think, to just keep it on a hook in there so that you would just have a backup.
Yeah, and I have an old set of boots in there, and I have a girth in there, and I have an old bridle. And that stuff's all with like a KK snaffle on a relatively generic bit. So I know that, okay, I don't have a saddle in there, but I have everything else that would need to be in there. Because again, it's the same, and I have a great, great team, but they don't worry about my stuff. So if I forget to put my boots in, they're like, that's your fault, not mine. So I keep a spare set of boots in there and spare set of spurs. Again, they're old boots, but I kind of kept them nice enough that if I had to show in them, I could. So I don't know, that works well for me, and it kind of takes my anxiety away. Because that's a huge part of the horse show is the anxiety of having all your stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but always the first show of the spring, like when we come out, we have like a little schooling show we always do in March. And I swear that's like the time that everybody forgets everything. It's like somebody is running back to the farm. It's only 10 minutes it's at the horse park. So somebody can run home and get something. It's not that big of a deal. They can be back in 20 minutes, but that is always the show. And so we always try to minimize that. And I always try to go through a checklist the week before that horse show and say, who has hairnets? Does everybody have gloves? Does everybody have sort of everything that we need to have? So definitely has helped. But that is definitely an issue for people and raises anxiety levels. So I think if you can have all that stuff, then you won't be like Philip or Boyd and not have important items like boots or pants.
Just a lack of anxiety. Maybe I'm just not anxious enough,
Yeah, probably not.
Well,
yeah.
That's actually one of my big tricks for helping with showing anxiety is I tack walk my horse at 7 a.m. And it makes it so that I know that I have everything there, because you can't be on your horse tack walking them if you don't have your saddle or your girth or your boots or whatever. And I find that just getting on to do that, maybe I'll do, just 2 minutes of trot or whatever, just to feel that they're okay. But even if I have like an 8:30 ride, I still will get on at 6:30 just to get on and tack walk them, just to know that I have everything that I have there, and I'm not running around 2 minutes before my test looking for, a pair of gloves and a whip.
No, I think that's such an important thing. And it helps the horse. The horse's stretch gets you in the right frame of mind. So I love that tip. We do the same thing. So that's a really good one.
So
Excellent.
The next tip is a little bit more training based, but it is sort of about, preparing for things. And I thought this was neat. This is back to Boyd and Silva's article about partnerships. And they talked about taking your horse through water. And I thought it was a neat tip because it says that, it really builds a horse's trust in his rider's judgment because they can't tell what's underneath the surface. So it really starts to build a relationship between you and your horse and a strong partnership. And it also prepares them for things like going to Devon, especially, my gosh, knock on wood, if it's raining this year, you definitely then will be prepared with being underwater by going through, some water complexes or, if there's a lake or a river or something near your place. But the tips were really nice. So this is the 3 tips that came with taking your horse through water. The first is to really sit deep in the saddle, keep your leg on, and urge him into the water. And the transition from dry ground into the water is usually the hardest part. So really, work on getting that because once they get their feet wet, they're usually okay. If you have a horse that's lacking the confidence, that doesn't want to go in, that it's really good to have a more experienced horse that is comfortable with the water, lead them in so that then you have them more comfortable and they see their buddy in there. But then if you do have a horse that's a bit more timid, just be, a little bit cautious when you go into it. Because the water splashing around is going to be a new sensation for them. And then the last point they said is once your horse is in the water, if he starts to splash around and puts his nose down into the water, get him moving because there are horses that like to roll.
It's going to go down.
Yeah, I knew where that was
His whole
going.
body in there.
I was like, oh.
Keep it moving.
So that was the big warning. So, if you take your horse through some water, make sure that they don't roll with you on their back and take you for a swim. But then once they get used to it, depending on finding a place that has really good footing, a solid base, then you want to avoid swift currents and deep water. Just find some place that's like 4 inches that doesn't have slippery rocks or deep mud. And then you can maybe try trotting in and out or cantering in and out. And I just thought that was a neat thing because I think, first of all, it prepares us. I've definitely been at shows where there's a giant puddle, right at X or something where you have to go across the diagonal through the thing. And also, I just think it's a good partnership building exercise, especially for the dressage horses who are so used to us having perfect footing for them and they're in their little enclosed 20 by 60.
Oh, I think anything that you can do is important. I will tell you, I was riding a 5-year-old who is a superstar. But today it was cooler here. It was rainy and kind of gross. And my assistant we have a clinic here next week. So we're trying to get ready and clean everything. And, it's in the afternoon when I ride him. That's the time that she can do it. So she's up cleaning the mirrors and he didn't like that. And then the gentleman that helps me in the barn, he was working in the garden. So there was stuff flying all over the place. And, you just got to ride through it and say, yeah, I know this is not normal, but this is what's going on. And I think that's the same. You can put that to going through water. And I think that, as you start showing your horses and start getting them out, it is so important to have done this kind of stuff. Going through water. We have the mounted police that come and do desensitization with all the horses here. They have to walk over mattresses and over tarps and have tarps put over top of them. And I am so glad we do it. It really, I let them do it because they're really professional and really good at what they do. And, that's what they do with their horses. And I think for dressage horses, it is so important to not say, he's going to be scared by you climbing the ladder. Well, at Devon, nobody's going to care. They're going to climb the ladder and do whatever they're doing. So I think it's super important. And I think, crossing water, oh boy, I worked for 2 days to get Denali across water. I mean, it was a really big deal for him and it was good. And I'm glad that we went through it and did it. And so I am a huge fan of anything like that you can do. I think it is so important.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, anytime that you maybe are getting bored with your ring work or, stuff over the winter, then you can just come up with creative ideas that you can do, stuff to do with your horse that, that's a challenge in a different way than just, strictly riding flat work, dressage work that, there's so many things that have nothing to do with dressage can build your partnership and your trust. And the water work is one big one. Now, the only difference is if stuff goes wrong, you're going to get wet. But
yeah,
that's fine. You won't get hurt. You'll just get wet. So, I mean, that sounds like a good idea. And if you got somewhere, safe and some water on your property, that's even better, right? But it doesn't hurt to go, to take them out to. There's lots of places that have, cross country schooling, where you can go for an ice hack and bring them to a water obstacle and work on it and figure it out. There's lots of great stuff. I mean, we're just coming into the fall. Maybe you're done show season and you can work on some other things. Some different challenges. So that's a nice tip and a good idea.
Yeah, I have memories as I'm talking about this. I'm starting to regret suggesting this so late in the season because I did UNH in 1999, and I will remember to this day doing the training level eventing course what the water jump feels like because I landed straight in it. And then I had to walk all the way home, or not home. Oh my gosh. I had to walk all the way back. It's like a mile from that jump to the stabling because my horse left without me when I was unseated. So yes, definitely maybe the 4-inch rule, like find a very warm, sunny day and a smaller amount of water so that at the very least when they're splashing you're not getting soaking wet when it's 20 degrees. So
yeah, no, not a good idea. Yeah. I love it. But I think it's really important. I truly think that dressage horses, we have a tendency to make it all perfect and try to make everything perfect. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for a horse that's going to show, you can't make it perfect. You just can't. You gotta go with it. So I love that tip. Love it. What else do you have for us?
So it's along the same lines, but it's the same thing. It's kind of doing something that's fun, but also desensitizes your horse and builds partnership. And that's, again, from the Martin's article, is by riding to music. And I love this tip because Boyd, I guess, a lot of times when he's schooling dressage, will put on rock music. And he rides around to it. And he says that over time, it gets the horses used to announcers. Loud freestyle music maybe is not in your ring, but it's in a close by ring, and just loud noises in general. And it also helps the horse just get into the rhythm of the music. So I thought that was neat because to me, that's a different take. I've always thought, riding freestyle music is really good. It helps your horse get into a nice tempo and everything. But I think the idea of using it to desensitize the horse is a great, great idea. And he had suggested, that if the horse is spooky, you just do a large circle close to the noise and ride some shoulder 4 with your inside leg at the girth, asking for some flexion to move the horse over, just as if, they were spooking at anything. But every time that you come around, just open your outside rein and push with your inside leg to kind of leg yield them towards that sound so that you get closer and closer to the noise. And that he, gives the horse a week or so to get used to being close to the speaker. But then after that, the horses are a lot more used to it, and then they'll be less spooky, in new situations where there's loud noises. And I think that is such a clever way to think about something that I've been thinking about from a different perspective for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I have a sound system in my ring, and I ride to music for sure, all my horses, just because honestly, it's me and them in there. And I think we all, just everybody enjoys it a little bit more. And so I do ride to music, and it is good because our horses at the end of the day, I mean, all of us want to ride a freestyle at Aachen, and, they got to be used to the noise. So, and it's good because, commercials come on and it sounds different, or, that kind of stuff. So I do it mostly because I enjoy it. I can't say that I ride to rock music, but I think it's a great tip. And I do just because I find it nice and I enjoy it. And it keeps sort of me in the horses, a good song comes on. It's like, okay, come on, let's do our extended trot now or whatever. And I enjoy it myself. So I can, I think it's good for all the horses.
I definitely ride the rock music. What's wrong with that?
Do you? Nothing's wrong with rock. I think you should ride to whatever you want to.
Ride whatever you like,
Classical,
right?
whatever. I don't care. So, whatever you want. Whatever.
Yeah,
but I think
course.
I think it's good.
Yeah, you got to do it, right? I mean, for me, it just releases a lot of tension that can be built up, if it's just quiet and everybody's a little on edge if there's nobody talking and you're just riding and it just kind of fills a void, just kind of background noise, right? You need it to make sure that the horses and the people are not getting so stressed out, right? So, pick anything. I mean, I know lots of people ride just straight classical without vocals, but it's nice when, especially when you're kind of warming up or cooling down. You hear a song that you like, you can sing to it and just relax and let it all go, right? And just enjoy your time when you ride. So I think the music helps in that way, and then also in the I can't say the word.
Desensitization.
Yeah, that one. Too many S's. It's perfect. So that's a great tip. Thanks, Hillary.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting because I had a horse that we were having some problems with the canter, just not having enough jump to it. And, we were working on it, trying to get forward, and he just didn't have the power. And I was sort of thinking, okay, he's maybe a little burnt out with the show season, and I need to figure out how to get this. And we were just playing around. We had Mike Madsen, who is on the Dressage Foundation board with me, does a lot of those dressage to music clinics, and he was there, and I said, sure, I'd love to just get a sense at least for this horse's beats per minute so that I could plan for a freestyle. And he turned on, I think, a Prince song, and this horse started flying around in the canter. And I thought, where was this a month ago when we were trying to work through all this issue with impulsion? Because as soon as the music went on, he just picked up the beat of it and just had a lot more energy. And I thought it was neat because it's almost like taking your horse out, doing hill work or going through water or whatever. Sometimes I think the music can kind of help them with their own, if they're in a funk or whatever, that it helps them get to be in a better mood too.
What's our next tip?
Okay, so actually the next tip is one that is not a training tip, but I think it's very important for everyone to know because Dressage today, as I've mentioned in the past on the show, is having their 20th anniversary. And I just found out that kicking off at Dressage at Devon, they are doing a giveaway to the World Cup in Las Vegas, which is awesome because the winners get round trip tickets, and then you get to go behind the scenes and hang out with Olympian Debbie McDonald. So I thought that was really cool, that everybody needs to do it. I may quit working there so I can apply for this contest because, okay, first of all, I just got back from Las Vegas and we were staying there for a bachelorette party, and it's amazing. World Cup, I don't know if you guys got a chance to go there the last time in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Even
it's almost same.
Matthias Rath was telling me that his goal was to come back to the U.S. after having seen World Cup the last time around there. So to go there and hang out with Debbie McDonald, when they told me that they were going to do this giveaway, I was like, I have to tell everyone who's listening to the show because there's a sign up for the sweepstakes and it's starting to kick off the week of Devon. So everyone should definitely check that out.
So how do we sign up? Because Philip and I are already going, but yeah, how do we sign up?
So it's just on dressagetoday.com. And if you guys are going to be at Devon, there will be computers there at the Dressage Today Horse Tech booth the whole week so that people can do it there because I know you're not bringing your iPad around or whatever at the showgrounds. So there's also, the ability to do that there. And I don't know, you guys, because you aren't down where we are, but the Dressage Today and Horse Tech booth, it's closer to the warm-up arena than a lot of the other vendors. A lot of the other vendors are closer to like the entrance and the grandstand, but Dressage Today and Horse Tech have a tent that's right next to the warm-up and the entrance to the stabling area, so that you can kind of watch the warm-up and get some free magazines and water and go over and say hi to them. And I think that this year on Friday night, they're going to do a wine and cheese party so that, you can go and sign up. So theoretically, you could get free wine and cheese, watch a bunch of Grand Prix riders warming up, and then also enter and possibly win 2 round-trip tickets to the World Cup final. So that seems like not a bad trip to go there, even if it is raining.
Nice.
I know. Philip, we need to go do this. This sounds like awesome fun.
But you guys can enter it online. So,
Perfect.
Definitely do that if you can.
Easier.
Because even if you are going anyway, it still is an inclusive trip, and you get to hang out with Debbie McDonald. So that's pretty neat.
Cool.
Awesome. Any other tips, Hillary?
Yes. So I'm going to end mine with everyone who is, not going to Devon or talking about, going to the shows and all this stuff. I wanted to end with something that's just a nice, straightforward tip for everyone to kind of go away with. And this is from my Dressage 101. And I'm very sad. I just wrote the last one for December, and I'm not sure. We haven't talked about whether or not we're going to continue it next year, but if we don't, I'm going to miss it dearly. For those who haven't been following it, it's kind of basic exercises every month. And this month I went over 15 and 10 meter figure eights. Just to start, we had covered in the past doing the 15 and 10 meter circles. And in the past, we also talked about doing the 20 meter figure eight. But this one gets you down to doing the 15 meter figure eights and the 10 meter figure eights. And I just wanted to talk about the 15 and 10 meter figure eights for a second, because the 10 meter figure eight, if you do it centered where you're passing over X between E and B, is a great way to get your horse supple and prepared for that movement in the first level test that calls for the half circle to half circle. So that was one point. But the 15 meter figure eight I wanted to talk about with you guys, because it's not in any tests, but I really like it as an exercise. So I wanted to focus on it a bit more because it's smaller than the 20 meter, but I think that as you get down into the smaller sizes, it's a little bit less of a struggle to maintain the balance because it's a bit bigger than the 10. And I have people riding it on the track on the long side so that you're hitting the far quarter line as the halfway point of your circle, as opposed to, I know some people like to do it kind of centered at A or C. I prefer to ride it on the track with the far quarter line, and I suggest that you put cones down, to mark sort of the different points that you would hit, because it doesn't lend itself to the easiest geometry because it's, not really centered on specific letters. But I really like it as an exercise for two reasons. The first is it really tests that you have a little bit more suppleness and control of a bending line than the 20 meter circle. But I also think it's really good because I think it's helpful to have exercises that aren't so perfectly centered that you kind of float in space for a second and have to find your bearings again to prepare you for the more difficult tests. And I wanted to see if you guys do 15 meter circle figure eights, if you have a particular area you like to do it, or if you had exercises that sort of incorporate them.
Well, I love, as I tell all my students, they need to read your Dressage 101 every month, because I think you come up with some great tips. And to see it, if you look at the article, because I always keep the magazine when we do our do this segment. It's really clear when you look in the magazine at the figure, and it makes a lot of sense. I have to be honest, I have never done it centered over B or E. In the article, you have it centered over B, and I think that makes sense because everybody can really see where they can do the circles. And I think that's a great tip because, I do a lot of spiraling in and yielding out. And I say, okay, go to an 18, go a 16. And the geometry isn't 100%. But in this article, it makes sense. If you center it at E and B, you can really test and make sure that you're getting the right size. So I really like how you've done that. We do a lot of figure eights, especially with the horses that are showing first level, because they have that sort of, there's a figure eight in first three, and there's and we call it the S curve in first one. So we do it a lot then, just so people can really feel where they're supposed to be. So I really like this tip, and I think it's something that I'm going to use tomorrow, again, because my riders can really tell where they need to be.
Yeah, for me, I tend to do not just serpentines, but do a lot of, not figure eights, but do a lot of serpentines with different size circles and different shapes and certain different, amounts of bend and getting down to, like a shallower serpentine or a deeper one with longer, like you can do a lot with a serpentine and changing the direction and changing the bend and making it, symmetrical and not symmetrical and, changing the number of loops and doing. So I have a tendency to do that more than just straight figure eights. And, but when I do, I like to do the 10-meter one, especially for the first level riders, but really taking the 10-meter serpentine or figure eight off of the track, because I find a lot of people just use the track to make the shape for themselves. So, I just want to place it in different places around the arena so that you have no walls to ride on. I think that helps with serpentines, when you don't necessarily have a letter to look for or something like that, where you just have to ride the correct bend and that will make the shape for you. Does that make sense?
And that's exactly why with the 15-meter figure eight, I put it first in the article, and why I should have highlighted that more, because I completely agree. I think if you are so reliant kind of on having the training wheels of each letter or being between letters, when you get out and do the tests, I think sometimes it's sort of like, wait, I'm floating in space. Where am I supposed to go? And I think you need to have a higher understanding, like you just said, of the arena space spatially, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and what, really figure out, like, what is the bend for a 20-meter circle or a 10-meter circle or a 15-meter circle?
Yeah. Then
the circles and the curves make themselves, right? So that was just my sense of it when I watch people ride, because it's easy when you make a 10-meter circle from B to X. You got the two letters there, but do you know what is the bend that you're making? When you first start to learn it, it's good to have the letters, but later as you become more independent and you want to, it's important for when you're riding freestyle, because the judges don't want to see this at this letter and this, just like you did it in the test. You want to change it up, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to ride, and it's good for people. So that's why I kind of do that and try and change it up as much as you can.
I love it. Well, Hillary, thank you so much for, as always, great tips. How can our listeners find you online?
They can see all of the information about the articles at dressagetoday.com, as well as information about that World Cup contest I talked about. And then also they can follow coverage of Devon and all the upcoming events on our Facebook page and Twitter and YouTube. There's some fun old archived videos on YouTube from last year's Devon that are pretty neat. And then also they can check us out on Pinterest.
Well, we wish Hillary luck at Dressage at Devon, and we're going to have her back on. We're going to hear all about it next month, so that would be really great. And next up, we have Marsha Hartford-Sapp from Florida.
This week's spotlight product from EasySignsOnline.com is their outdoor silhouette cutouts. Made from a long-term outdoor durable vinyl aluminum material, these cutouts will outlast the old-style painted wood ones by many, many years. A great way to add an equestrian image to your barn, horse stalls, mailboxes, houses, or campers. Choose from dozens of equestrian or animal graphics online, available in 2 different sizes starting at only $59.95. And remember, free shipping on most orders over $100, all at EasySignsOnline.com. Get your silhouette cutout today.
Well, we are so excited tonight to have Marsha Hartford-Sapp on from Tallahassee, Florida. She is the head trainer and owner of Southern Oaks Equestrian Center in Tallahassee, Florida. And she is the head trainer for the Florida State University equestrian team. Welcome to the show, Marsha.
Welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me this evening.
Oh, we're really excited. So tell us all about your role in the Extreme Mustang makeover.
Oh, yeah. Right now, I'm actually in Fort Worth, Texas. I traveled here yesterday 900 miles to participate in the Extreme Mustang makeover. This is my 5th year doing that. And I have a horse that came out of the wild right around the 1st of June that I've spent the last 100 days training, and I'm going to show him this weekend at the Mustang Makeover.
Now, can you give everybody an idea about what it's all about and your preparation for this event with the horse and what you're going to have to do?
Yeah, the Extreme Mustang Makeover has been around since 2007 or so, and trainers receive a randomly selected wild Mustang. Never had hands touch it, never had any training. You can't even put a halter on these horses. And we get 100 days to train the horses for the competition. And when we come to the competition, we're expected to show the horses in hand. We're judged on basic handling skills, some leading exercises, the condition and muscling of the horse that we've put on the horse in the last 100 days. We have a riding component that's judged in 2 different phases. One's a pattern class, walk, trot, canter, changes of leads, rein back, spins or turns. And then we have a basic trail class where the horses go in and they perform maneuvers that you'd see in everyday work, like opening a gate, backing over things, walking over a bridge, etc. So in 100 days, we have to get the horses halter broke, trained to saddle, trained to walk, trot, canter, change their leads if they're able to, and basically be a good citizen so that they're ready for adoption.
Well, that sounds like a big challenge. Now, can you give our listeners a little bit of background information about you and maybe your dressage background and everything?
Yeah. I'm primarily a dressage trainer. I'm based out of Tallahassee, Florida. Our barn has about 40 head of horses. The majority of them are warm bloods. So that's generally what we deal with. I've ridden in Florida. I recognize USDF shows, since I moved here in 1998. So I have quite a background in dressage. Also have done some hunters and jumpers as well. One of the things that I particularly like is the training scale and always going back to the foundation of the horse, because that is the foundation for any type of showing we do, including dressage. So the Mustang Makeover excites me because I'm able to get in there at the base level and train a horse from the ground up, and the dressage pyramid and the training scale is super important to me for the training process of the horse. So I always go back to my dressage work when we start these young horses under saddle.
Now, how did you get started in this in the Mustang Makeover? That's so cool. How did you start with that?
Well, it really brings together a lot of things that I'm passionate about. Animal rescue. I actually had some training and some time in the animal rescue field while I was studying at college. So it puts together animal rescue. It puts together my passion of training horses. And also, it's a little bit extreme. I mean, taking a horse out of the wild and training it 100 days, that's pretty tough. So I'm up for the challenge. It's always a challenging
sort of thing, but it's always a win-win. I learned something, the horse gets a home, and it's a great way to showcase my business and what it is that we're all about here, because it really is all about the horse.
Can you give our listeners some more about your philosophy and how you get started with this? Maybe when the horse comes to you, what are some things that you like to do? That what's your program all about?
Well, for my program, we do a lot of foundation work on the ground, and I think that's really important so that the horses don't have bad experiences when there is a rider involved. So when a horse comes in, wild or otherwise, we go straight to the round pen. I do round pen work with the horse. We teach them voice commands, walk, trot, canter, and the most important word, whoa. We do join up. We long line them. I long line every horse that comes in so that they understand turning and stopping, and they're comfortable with the handler on the ground. And we do a lot of backing out, desensitization. And just in general, we build trust from the ground up so that the horses understand and are confident with us and what we're asking from the ground and up until we step foot in those irons.
That is so cool. So can you tell us a little bit about the American Horsewoman's Challenge?
The American Horsewoman's Challenge is a wonderful competition this is its inaugural year in the United States. I'm so happy to be a part of it. It's going to be a competition that encompasses so many things that are important in horsemanship and important in training. For the American Horsewoman's Challenge, we had to submit applications, which included videos of ourselves riding horses, both advanced horses and young horses, and also doing groundwork. And groundwork is also important for the training process. So the American Horsewoman's Challenge gave trainers an opportunity to select the horses that they wanted to use. We had to pick a horse in between the ages of 3 and 7 that had not had any riding work done with them. And we were given 6 months to train these horses. So we started this earlier this year, and we were given details about what we were going to be judged on for these young horses that we had selected and been training. And there's 3 different components that we're going to be judged on. The first one is going to be liberty, and it'll be the first of its kind in the U.S. of being judged. So we have a liberty component where the horses are free, and we're asked to do things with these horses from the ground, like we lunge them and ask them to come to us without them having a halter on. We ask the horses to weave in and out of obstacles, back, jump and jump, turn around, jump over the jump again. And it really shows the relationship from the ground because the horses have to be freely willing. We're judged on this liberty component. We're so excited about this, the first of its kind. We are given a cowboy dressage test, which to me is going to be super fun as a dressage rider to do with my young horse. And then there is a extreme cowboy race that we're going to get to do as well. So it shows the diversity of the trainers, the dressage, the liberty, and the trail work. Is going to be so much fun for us to show off as trainers what we're able to do with these young horses.
That sounds like a really awesome program.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited about it. I'm very excited.
And where is it? Yeah. Where is it?
That's going to be in Guthrie, Oklahoma. It's going to be the weekend of October the 3rd. So it's October the 3rd to the 5th. I'm going to get to drive home from Texas, regroup for a couple days, and then drive out to Oklahoma for that. But I'm excited about the young horse that I'm showing, and just in general the event, because it's a really it's a needed event, and it's going to be the first of its kind, and just to be able to see these horsewomen and their horses is just going to be a super experience, I think.
And how did you pick your horse and find your horse?
I was really fortunate with the picking of my horse. The horse that I'm showing for the American Horsewoman's Challenge is named Smokin' in Seattle, and he's a 3-year-old appendix quarter horse that came to me as a training horse. When I was at the regional championships for USDF Dressage last year, I had a client come to my stalls while I was braiding my horse, and had asked me about horse training. And she said she had a young stallion. She wanted a good foundation on the horse, and it would be ready in the spring. So it just happened that when I sent in my application for the American Horsewoman's Challenge, she contacted me and reminded me that she was going to be sending me this quarter horse stallion. And I called her and asked her a little bit more about the horse, and I asked her if she would be interested in me using the horse for the competition. And she brought me the horse for an evaluation to see if he would be suitable. And it just turned out that it was just the most super wonderful horse and the most perfect partner for me to be able to use for the competition. He's done really well in his training. I took him to his first recognized USDF show a couple of weeks ago. I went to Conyers, which is near Atlanta, Georgia. Just showed him training level. You know, he's just had 4 months under saddle and a young stallion. But he won all of his training level classes, and we were so happy. He was the champion training level horse that day for Conyers, and we just had a great show with him. So I'm really excited to be able to show him for this challenge in a couple of weeks.
Well, Marsha, we wish you so much luck with him. He sounds like just a wonderful horse. So how do our listeners find you online?
Well, they can find me online by going to my website, which is southernoaksequestrian.com, or better yet, like the rest of us, we're better at posting our updates on Facebook. I can be found on Facebook under my full name, Marsha Hartford Sapp, and I'll be posting pictures of Smoke, my quarter horse stallion for the American Horsewoman's Challenge, and I'll be updating things on him. And also our time here at the Extreme Mustang Makeover.
Wonderful. Well, we will keep in touch with you, and we wish you all the best. And we can't wait to hear how you guys do.
Yes, super. Thank you so much.
Well, that was so fun to hear from Marsha about what she's doing, and we wish her well, and we will have her back on for an update. I think it's great. Also kind of ties into what we were talking about with Hillary, that dressage horses really need to be all around horses. And I think we need to stay open to that as trainers and riders. So we wish her luck in all the things that she's doing for sure. So.
This week's dressage training tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, home of the shoulder relief girth at TotalSaddleFit.com.
The saddle fit solution you have been waiting for is finally here. TotalSaddleFit.com is proud to introduce the Shoulder Relief Girth. This strategically shaped girth actually moves the girth line of your saddle back over 1 inch, thereby freeing your horse's shoulders from the saddle. Traditional girths pull saddles up against a horse's shoulders and often over the top of the shoulders. The shoulder relief girth's recessed ends allow for the billets to buckle into the girth farther back to give your horse unparalleled freedom of motion. We are so certain that your saddle will fit better and your horse will be more comfortable that for a limited time we are offering a 30-day, 110% money-back guarantee. If you are not totally satisfied with your shoulder relief girth, send it back for a full refund plus 10% of the purchase price. Don't wait. Order now for the best saddle fit solution available.
At TotalSaddleFit.com. Visit TotalSaddleFit.com.
And next, Philip, we have a trainer tip from you and me. And I liked this article. It was from Dressage Today initially on how to sit a rough trot. And this trainer tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit and the shoulder relief girth. If you have any saddle fitting questions, Justin is awesome from Total Saddle Fit. He's been on the show multiple times, and he does a great job answering any questions that you have about saddle fitting, which it is a big, big question. So touch base with Justin. He is great. So our tip of the day comes from sitting a rough trot. And basically, the big thing is, how do you sit a rough trot? And the big thing is to make your horse more reactive to lighter aids and teach yourself to establish a really quality tempo, which I think is really important. And as you do this over time, some of it is strength. And I have to be honest, if I get a new horse that I think, oh my gosh, this horse is a little bit hard to keep connected and a little bit hard to sit the trot, I don't always force myself to sit the trot. I think sometimes if you don't have the right back and the horse isn't giving you a place to sit, sometimes it's really hard to do that. So I do try to sell to myself or tell my riders, do posting trot, do sitting trot until you're strong enough and the horse is strong enough to have you sit for a long period of time. I think it's also really important that your horse is in front of consistent aids. And they talk about this in the article, that the horses need to be in front of consistent aids. You also need to have tactful hands and tactful rein aids. If you're jamming the horse in the mouth or jarring the horse in the mouth, he's not going to like the sitting trot either. So I think it's really important that in that case, you could do some lunge lessons or things along those lines to help you get stronger without banging the horse in the mouth. I think that that's really important. And then sometimes you just can't sit it, and that's okay. Do a transition to walk or do a transition to posting trot, get more organized, and then go back to the sitting trot. So that was sort of the basic things that Camilla DuPont talks about in her article, which I thought was really a good way to start the discussion on how to sit a rough trot. Philip, can you add anything to this?
Yeah, I think a good point from the article is to maybe think about and evaluate the horse's trot. I mean, they all trot a little bit different. They have a different feel, but you can do a lot of things to really improve the gait before you even think about starting to sit it, right? Because if you think about why is the trot tough to sit? Is this a lazy horse? Is he behind your leg? A horse, you can never sit a horse that's behind your leg. I don't care how good a rider you are. If you're having to push the horse along and try and sit, that's not going to work. The horse is not carrying you, right? Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is the trot a little short and stilted, and is that what's making it difficult to sit? Then you need to really lengthen out the horse's gait a little bit before you even sit on him. So, and then you talked about the horse needs to have a strong connection and be good in the connection, and also have enough muscle to carry the rider along in this connection. So a lot of times if you're a rider and you think I'm trotting along, okay, I got a good long trot, I've got a good connection, the back feels really good, and then all of a sudden I sit on it and it goes away. Well, then there's a lot of work that needs to be done in transitions to help that horse carry you. I mean, a lot of times a horse will feel the rider sit and then all of a sudden kind of clamp up, having nothing to do with the rider, just the horse's reaction to taking weight. So what I would do in this case is really, go back, like you said, you already said, Reese, go back to walk, and then push it forward in trot and try and, from the first step out of walk into trot, that you have those qualities of a good forward gait and a good connection and a good back and all of that. And then just a few strides and then start rising. That helps to get the horse really, comfortable with carrying you before you're doing a whole ton of sitting trot at one time. I think it's a hard thing to do, sitting trot, but it's not something that you have to force you and the horse to do, and then all of a sudden it might just get better one day, right? If you're not having a ton of success, you have to get a strategy going that will build you and the horse towards success in this area, in this idea, because they're not all just great to sit on. I mean, there's lots of horses I can't sit on. I have to say, okay, well, this horse needs more training, needs more muscle development, and then I can start sitting. So, but you know what? Those are a couple of big things that I would try and evaluate. As I'm having trouble sitting to this horse. Do you have anything to add there, Reese? Any ideas?
No, I think that that's really good. I mean, I think that those are right along the same lines. And I tell people, this doesn't happen overnight. Especially my adult amateur clients that we're working, before they want to show second level or before they really want to get going with the sitting trot, I tell them it may take a little bit of time. Yep. This isn't just going to happen. I think that that's one of the things. It's sort of, there's a process. And, a lot of the questions that I get too is it okay if my horse goes a little slower? You know what? I think that's fine. If you need your horse to slow down so you don't pop him in the mouth or you don't give him a kick or whatever, I think that's fine. I think that you just need to know that obviously you're not quite at the tempo and rhythm that you need to be. But that's okay if you need to start slower and work
It can be a
up.
developing
It's
process.
fine.
I tell people to buy themselves, the strap that I call the bucking strap, right? The one that goes
Absolutely.
on the D-rings of your saddle, sits in the middle. You
Yep.
can get one of those. It's not for bucking, but, if you're having trouble sitting, put your hand on that strap, take it off, don't throw away the rein, but you can have your rein and your hand on that strap. If you have a horse that's not going to run away, I mean, that's perfect. Then you can use that strap a little bit to help, get yourself into the saddle a little bit, stabilize your position without grabbing the horse in the mouth. I mean, as soon as you get tense and you clamp up and then all of a sudden you're really slowing the horse down and really stopping the horse from being able to move, that's no good. So you have to be able to, the horse has to be able to have his mouth a little bit as you try and figure out your sitting trot. And I tell people with this too, there's no magic answer to it. It's just, professionals like Reese and myself ride, 6 horses a day, have been doing it for years. That's how we got good at it. It's not something that somebody just said like, oh, do this, and then all of a sudden I learned how to sit trot. I mean,
Right.
It just takes years and years and years and years, and then years more. So, do the best you can. You got your own horse, or you borrow a horse, or just ride as much as you can, and you'll get
Exactly.
better.
You will get
That's all
better.
there is to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is time in the saddle. So good luck with sitting those rough trots. And if you have any stories to pass along to our listeners, we would love that. As always, we love email and Facebook questions. We try to get to them when we can. So thanks so much again for being there and participating. So everybody, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. You can like us on Facebook. Just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter @Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
You can find me at philipparksequestrian.com, and my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week for allowing us to put on a show. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we'll talk to you next week.